All right. So here we go, guys. Welcome to our big happy family. We have a guest for you tonight. I'll introduce him in just a second. So Transform You, 1 week down. 1 week down, and Susan and I are hiding in our bedroom again. And now we brought Brian in. Everybody's out eating and having a grand old time and very, very loud. So we thought we'd hide back in here. So we brought Brian on. He is one of the Growth You advisors. So I've been on calls that he leads. It's great. He's exceptional, but we're meeting for the very first time. So we just met him yesterday. Stop whispering. Sorry. Distractions. And he agreed, Susan got him to agree to come on the call tonight with us. So we're so excited that you're here.
I'm honored to be here.
Yeah. So what we really want to talk to you guys about tonight, we had a training today with Matthew, which you probably know him very well, but we're just meeting him for the first time. And so it was one of the certification calls, and we went over the whole growth cycle, which you guys that have done Healthy Mind and Body, you guys have all been through this. And if you were just on the team call with us, you heard me reiterate it. And I got off the call at the end when he asked for questions. I asked him, we actually can see all of you guys when you do your homework on time. We can see who's completed it. We can see who hasn't started the program yet. Those people probably aren't even tuning into the call. So I asked him, what do you do with people that have hit deception as soon as they paid the $79 to join our group? And he gave great advice. And it was so funny because Susan and I were in separate classes and we both asked the same exact question.
Yeah, because when I asked, he said, "Oh, I got one in the last one." I thought, I wonder if that was Cindy. And it's not because we just want to help you guys. And why don't we let Brian talk about deception and how to embrace it?
Yeah. I'd love to. Absolutely.
Awesome. So we're going to let him do his thing. So get up to the camera.
Come a little closer. Here, I'll get out. We're all in a bed, guys. It's like a full-size bed.
Yeah, it's like this big, and the three of us are all. And this is recording, right?
This is recording.
Yeah,
so be careful what you say.
Yeah, right. So one of the great things about making the conscious decision to take a program like this is that you are doing something that most people won't ever do. You are intentionally jamming up the part of your brain that's designed to protect you, right? Your unconscious holds references that have supported you in the past, right? And so whenever you take a program like this, excuse me, and you start, you start at the beginning, you're really excited. There's something special about doing something new. And if you don't associate with why you're doing it, then you don't have anything holding you to it, because there is going to be that time. And many of you are experiencing it, or if you haven't experienced it yet, you are getting ready to. It's that phase of the cycle of growth that we call deception. It's when those old patterns show up because you're pushing against your unconscious, right? You're pushing on, you're doing it with intention, which makes it even stronger. So when you get that moment where you go, this isn't for me, this isn't working, maybe you haven't even started, whatever it is, that when we tend to get quiet, we stop showing up, we try and deal with it by ourselves, so we think there's something wrong with us. You have to go through this phase. It has to happen. Without it, the only way you don't go through it is you either don't start or you quit whenever it gets tough, right? This is the moment of time where everything becomes really conscious. You realize the things that you don't know, right? And those old patterns that are there to protect you start to show up. And then once you go through that and you're associated with the outcome, like, why did you do this? Why did you choose, you have these great leaders, right, who offered you this amazing opportunity. You said yes. Why? Why did you? And if you can't answer it, take some time tonight, tomorrow, but in the next couple of days, and really get associated with what that is. What is the reason why? That is, whenever you get up against that moment where you want the resistance, where those old patterns show up, that you're going to be able to continue to move through and support yourself as you go through the process.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Now,
Yeah.
how about, I know you've done probably every Growth U program there is. Transform U is what we're doing. And so
Right.
all of these people, I would say 99.9% of them have done Healthy Mind and Body. We thought Transform U would be the natural progression.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them what do you remember what you love about Transform U?
At this point, they all tend to run together a little bit, because the principles that all of these programs are built off of are universal. So it's like, I use the analogy, if I have, my body is my body, I put on, a suit to go to an event that requires a suit, or I go to, if I'm at the beach, I'm wearing beach attire, but it's still the same body is underneath it, right? So these programs, the principles are universal, right? And we dress them up with different outfits to support you in your journey. So all of these programs are designed to really work to move you along through this beautiful progression of growth. And everything is intentional. And so you'll ask these questions like, why am I having to answer the same question for every single day?
Mm-hmm.
It's intentional, right? Repetition is the mother of skill. So when you start you're doing the same thing over and over and over, and it seems like almost pointless, it's really, really intentional.
Mm-hmm.
So just trust the process, trust these amazing leaders that you have. And I am a firm believer that there are absolutely no coincidences in this life. So there's a reason why you're here. And if you don't know what it is yet, you'll know.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
When you know, it'll be beautiful.
That's awesome. And now, Brian, did we even give him a good introduction?
I don't know.
Jeez, this is Brian, guys. Sorry. Brian, they call him Grizz. I don't know why.
Well, the interesting story about that, I did a top 50, and Rod and myself were the only two guys. And at the time, so the rest of the program was all women.
And you were upset about that.
I was mortified and really sad. And I had a bit longer hair and a much very large beard at the time. And so he called on me in the middle of the group and he called me Grizzly, like Grizzly Adams, and it stuck. That was a few years ago, and it's.
But you finally got rid of it then.
Yeah, well, I just trimmed it up for the filming.
Yeah, he's been on video here, so.
We got some amazing new products coming out for you guys, and yeah, so we've been filming some of the
stuff. And
videos.
So there's a lot of people here that use Isagenix products, but that are not with the business. So we're meeting, plumbers and lawyers and just all kinds of people, but he is an Isagenix guy.
Mm-hmm.
So can you share with them, as far as their Isagenix business, these are business builders.
Right.
Can you share with them why these programs are crucial to their growth?
Absolutely. So that cycle of growth is you're going to find it everywhere. Anytime we make a decision to do something new. So when you are bringing in new teammates, right, they're all going to be going through it. And the way that you can maximize the opportunity for your new people is to pre-frame this for them, explain to them that this is going to happen so that it's not a surprise. If we set them up for it and they're expecting it, and we say, listen, when that moment comes, when you want to quit, you celebrate that with us. You call me up and we're going to celebrate. And then we're going to use that momentum to move you to the next phase of your journey. And that's going to show up with people who are wanting to build a business. That's going to show up with the people who are want to use products to transform their bodies. Whatever reason that they join your team, these models will support you. So what you're learning, what I've found in these programs is using them as if I was going to teach them. I had no idea when I first started with using these programs in my life that I would ever be advising them, that I'd ever be teaching them, I'd be filming, helping write. Like I had no idea, right? So, but use that as an opportunity to teach your teams. And what that does is two things. One, you're going to set them up for success. And two, it's going to ingrain it in you so deeply that it's going to be so powerful for you.
Yeah, there's nothing like if you want to learn how to do something, teach it to someone else.
Absolutely.
Yep.
100%.
How about you? You have some questions for
Yeah,
Brian?
no, these are great questions. I actually love it. We sort of, as you all know, I'm a winger. That means I wing it.
Yes.
And we were talking about the call, and we knew that we, wanted Brian to get on and give us a hand. But everything we did today was so it was so intentional. And what you were just saying, Brian didn't know, but Cindy and I said at the end of this, we have some homework for you, and you actually framed it right up nicely for us.
As if we talked about it, and we didn't.
And we didn't. And that's kind of another thing that's really cool about this, is that everything we do here, everyone's so like-minded. So it's important for you guys to do it. But like when Brian says to teach it, and you know, like he didn't know, Cindy and I didn't know we'd be doing this, right?
No,
you know, we never knew we'd be advisors and filming and doing all these things, but we feel that it is so important. So what's your biggest maybe breakthrough that you could share, or something, you know, that really transformed you with going through the different programs?
Well, you know, you guys have gotten a taste of it. The 4 Colors of Influence, which is another one of the programs. If any of these
some of them
folks,
have done top 50.
Okay, so you guys got a little taste of it if you've done a top 50. That's about 4 hours of the top 50 programming, if I remember correctly, for the Colors. And this is a 6-week program, so it's much deeper. I'm a little biased to it because I am the advisor for it, and which is interesting because it's the program that I would say really made the biggest shift for me. And what that's about is understanding people's emotional language, how to align with people to give them what they need, right? We go so far beyond the old golden rule of, you know, doing unto others as we would have done unto us. We turn that around and we shine the light on our people, on our teams, and we figure out how to align with them and give them what they need to support their goals. We help influence them to make decisions for their reasons, right? Not for what it does for us, because we're externally focused. And so really understanding that language and how to align. I mean, it changed my relationships with my team or my family, my kids. You know, I mean, it's just been massive. It's been a massive change for me. So that, I would say that's probably been the
and
biggest
some of
one.
you guys have gone through David Wood's training as well, and he does something similar. The colors are a little bit different, but that is one of the most valuable things to learn, especially as you grow into leadership, is to really know what your people need and how to best fill their needs. So you guys know this for sure on a client level. When you get new clients, you ask them questions, you find out what their goals are, and then you find that solution that will best suit their needs. Well, the same thing happens as you start attracting business people into your business, finding out what their why is. Why do they want to do this? And then finding out how you can best help them. And so often, if you can really figure out what makes them tick, I can talk to Susan very, very differently than I might be able to talk to Barbara and Mary. I have to figure out what drives them, what is very, very important to them, and figure out how best to help meet their needs. So it's really cool to learn that, and you'll learn that through a lot of these programs for sure. Right.
Yeah, we touch on that really in a lot of them at different points. And then I would say the other big one beyond the cycle of growth, because that is really perpetual. Like you're going to go through that cycle over and over and over and over. So really understanding it and how to understand it and how to apply it and teach it is massive. And then the other is the 4 laws of focus. And you guys use that? Okay, so it's one of the models in some of these programs. And the 4 laws of focus are what you focus on, find, right? You know that what you focus on grows, what you focus on seems real, and ultimately what you focus on you become. And those have been so powerful in helping our teams, especially, understand that sometimes we think we're focusing on what we want, and we're actually focusing on what we don't want.
Right.
And so we are attracting more in the same way that the first law of focus brings your awareness. You become more aware of what's around you when you're focusing on something. We oftentimes end up focusing on what we don't want, and we get more of it. And so that's been a big shift for a lot of our teams, is understanding, really being mindful of what they're focusing on.
Yeah. And so often we can get in places where we think negative thoughts, especially about ourselves. This is something that we constantly have to work on, is saying any negativity around ourselves. We need to be confident and have posture. We talk about that on our team calls all the time. And be able to snap yourself out of it if you catch yourself. If you catch yourself saying something negative,
or even just a word. Even just that word, like, people will say, I'll try, or, whatever it is.
Using the word but. like,
yeah,
you know,
but.
I'll but because that cuts off
Mhm.
everything you said before it.
Right.
That's been a really
Or people will
powerful.
say something they can't do, and then I'll say, well, if you say so,
Right.
because,
Yeah.
you know, our word is our law.
Mm.
Do you want to open this up for questions for a minute? Do you have a
Yeah.
minute?
Yeah, absolutely, for
Okay.
sure.
You
So
wanna,
Maureen's worried we're missing dinner. Did you get food yet?
I did eat, yes.
Oh,
yes,
Oh, okay.
yes.
Yes.
All right, guys. If anyone has a question while we have Brian here, you stay right
No,
here.
I'm just going to scoot out
You're
your way.
good. You're
Great.
good.
I'm just going to get really.
Now is a great time. And guys, take advantage of this. This is priceless that you're getting a Growth You advisor. Because Susan and I aren't certified advisors yet. So
Legit.
he knows way more than we do.
Well, I don't know about that, but I
So,
appreciate that.
yes. Anyone want to ask a question? Let's see. There's 54 of you on. I'm sure one of you has a question.
A question or a comment?
Something that you've gotten from the first week, a question around the first week.
Go ahead. Someone say.
Danielle? Yeah.
All right. So when you're talking about maximizing the opportunity and pre-frame, this is going to happen. This is right after someone signs up with Isagenix then? Like how soon do you have that conversation? And you're talking about the 4 phases, right?
Right. So the cycle of growth. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, you can kind of begin to talk about it a little bit as you're having those initial conversations. Really, the more you touch on it, almost in a really subtle way, the easier you flow into it. Because if you wait until after they say like yes, then you hit them with this, hey, oh, by the way, now that you've said yes to this and you've signed up and you have your membership, oh, you're going to go through this cycle.
Do you want to give them an exact example? So say, you know, I had someone the other day who did not like her first shake. Okay. So we hear that, right? So how would you start someone out?
Well, oddly enough, I hated my first shake as well. So I tend to just kind of,
felt found.
I will just drop that bomb on them. Like, you know, listen, I thought it was horrible. Wait 3 days, you know, take 2 shakes a day. And if you don't like it, like, we'll deal with it then. But I can promise you from my own experience, that's a little bit different for me.
Right.
But I would say, you know, as you're having the conversations, you know, you can be asking questions. It's always the most powerful way to align with someone is to ask questions. You know, ask them about how things have, you know, what's their experience been like up to this point, right? And they're more than likely going to tell you if they've had some experience. They're going to say something like, "Hey, I did this. I used this other product, and I, you know, for the first couple of days it was great, and then all of a sudden, you know, like it just didn't work for me, and I stopped." Right? So you can already identify like they had those first 2 phases and they just no one helped them understand. And here's what's really interesting, and I'm like, this is true vulnerability. We learned about the cycle of growth after we had a massive amount of people leave our team. We had a leader who had influence, who hit deception. We didn't know what was happening. We didn't know how to have a conversation to stop what was happening. And they just quit. Like, it wasn't that they went to another team, they didn't go to another company, they just stopped. And hundreds of people. So when I tell you that this is a true gift, that you are getting this now, it's massive, because it would have, I mean, the trajectory we were on when that happened was massive. And just, again, to give it context, we jumped 2 star levels in 1 week. We were growing so quickly. And then we just hit this spot and we just didn't know what to do. We didn't have these tools. So when I tell you this is massive, like, please understand how big this is for you. And so to frame that up, you just really make it light. So listen, here's what's going to happen. Your box is going to show up at and I don't know how you guys kind of frame, like, if you do a call or whatever, but so if I was going to do this for my team, I would say, hey, listen, you made an amazing decision. Right? I would affirm whatever it is that they decided to buy. You know, here's what's going to show up. When your box shows up, I want you to call me. We're going to go through it. I'm going to talk you through exactly what's in there, how this is all going to work. And then you and I are going to stay in communication, right? I want you to stay in touch with me on how this is going for you. And I need you to understand something. There's this amazing cycle of growth that's going to happen as a result. And you've experienced this before. You've seen this in other parts of your life, and you'll see it in the future. You just now have a name for it. And so what's going to happen is at the very beginning, you're going to be super excited and justifiably so. You've made a great decision. And then I would associate them with their why. You decided to do this because, right? Remember that, because this is really important that you remember. That's really powerful for you. And then at some point, you have a part of your brain, this amazing, beautiful gift that lives inside your head. There's a part of it that was designed to protect you. It's going to have old references. So at some point, an old reference is going to show up and you're going to feel like this isn't right for you. You're not alone. We expect it to happen. It has to happen. You're going to go through it. And when you do, we're going to celebrate because we know what comes after it. As you start to move through, your transformation is going to be beautiful. And we're going to be here to support you. Not only me as your leader, our upline is here to support you. This entire team is here because we have one goal, and that is to help you hit whatever your goals are. And I would just, once again, associate them back to their why and just give them the expectation. It's going to happen. And when it happens, it's perfect. It's supposed to happen. And then as soon as you do, we're going to support you through to the next stages. And ultimately, it's going to become a part of who you are. And those goals, whatever it is that you decided that you wanted to do this, is going to be absolutely perfect for you.
Okay, and what I want you guys to do is listen to this recording and take everything he just said and think about it for the business, because what he just said also relates to you and what you're going through with your business. Can you hear me? I just got an unstable internet. Can you hear me okay? Yeah? Okay.
I'm unstable.
He's the unstable.
I'm unstable.
But absolutely what he just said absolutely goes alongside with the business as well. The last thing I'm going to share with you guys, and we're not going to train on this tonight, but one of the things that you may or may not have heard of so far in the programs that you've done is there are several categories of deception, and I'm just going to list them for you. We will go over them if you haven't learned about them yet. This is something that we will provide you with training on because it's good to know. But some of them are being a victim. And do you know of anyone that always is playing the victim? I mean, in any area. So we want to make sure with the business that we're never playing the victim. Rut dweller is another one. Certainty seekers is another one. Pretenders is another one. Escapist, stressed achiever, and success seekers. Mm-hmm. So those are all the categories of deception. So there's not just one, there's several. And we'll teach you guys about those just so that you're more aware of them. And if you catch yourself saying something like, give me a good victim one. If you catch yourself,
this never works for me.
Yeah.
And it's always everybody else's fault.
Right. Yeah. I could do it if it wasn't for such and such. And when you learn about it, it really makes sense because you can really put yourself in there, and more importantly, you can put your team members in there. Mm-hmm. You can put your family in there. And you can, when you learn that and you learn about them, you can really understand everyone and kind of relate better to people. You're able to coach better. You're able to listen better. You're able to help people better. So, this is all part of it. And, it's so exciting. Like, you just want to kind of, I didn't want today to end, mm-hmm. There's so much going on, and it was so cool and awesome. And we really want to spoon feed you at this point because it is a daily habit that you're getting into and you're doing this program, but there's so much more. And that's why, Cindy and I are so passionate about it. And we got, to meet Brian and so, there's
so many great people.
There's 60 people here, yeah. I think. And we're in this huge mansion that is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. If you guys didn't see the team call just before, I couldn't help but turn my camera around and show you guys, where some pictures. I'll post them later as well. But, it's a really, it's a great community to kind of be immersed in this great energy. Are you making fun of me?
Maureen?
I love Maureen's comment.
What
did she say? Stop shitting all over yourself.
Mm-hmm. She almost spit her ionics out when Rod said that this morning.
It's a good one.
Rod is hysterical, and we've laughed, we've cried, we're all probably exhausted already. It's great. But we just want you guys to build the muscle and create the habits of everyday, daily growth. This is one small portion of it. We will provide more programs for you for sure, but even if there's not a program, we want you in daily growth. That's what we care about for you, is that you're constantly growing. Because I think Susan said it on the last call. You know, one thing Rod says a lot, I've heard Tony Robbins say it on the calls I listen to with him, is if you're not growing, you're dying. And so you always want to be doing things to help you grow. So homework, Susan?
Yes, we have homework. So Cindy is going to post this in our group, okay? And once she posts it in the comments, I want everybody here to, and everyone that watches it, to go back to their why. Go back to your why.
Why are you doing this program?
Why are you doing this program? Why, you know, when I asked, Cindy and I were in different groups, and, you know, I asked, you know, what was it? And I said, why did people start? You know, we have 109 people in this program, and, you know, people were paying $79, which is a fabulous deal, by the way.
Amazing deal.
Yeah. So we were able to get that to you for, you know, a really great price, and everybody put their hands up and got, you know, started, and excuse me. But then I said, a lot of people didn't start or aren't completing the daily task, because that's the most important part. Okay. It's the daily habit of going in every day, doing the work, whether it feels good, whether it doesn't feel good, whether you did the same question yesterday or not. It's every day doing it. That's how this program is going to help you. And so I said, gosh, I feel like a failure. You know, I mean, was I so excited? And everybody just kind of got in on my excitement. And, you know, we all come in with Inception. We're all excited, right? But then it happens, you know? I mean, even for us, it's like, you know, I've been sick for several months now, and you know, just my life and my family and you know, everything day to day is a struggle. And then we add this on, and I'm in Deception day one. I'm going, Cindy, I said, oh my gosh, like another program. I've added something else to what I have to do, even though I said, yeah, we're going to do this, and we're going to have a Facebook page and a group. And then it started, and here I am in Deception. But I power through it. And if anybody is I'm a runner, let me tell you, it's not pretty. It's not always pretty. It's not always easy. And, you know, lots of things go wrong, but I always remember my outcome. I know how I'm going to feel when I'm done with that run, or when I get that, when I run a marathon, you know what gets me through?
The medal.
The medal. I swear to God, when I'm running, I think I'm going to get that medal around my neck at the end of the race. And listen, I'm going to tell you this funny story I have to tell you. So last year, this time, I was in top shape. I trained for an ultra marathon in the Grand Canyon. It was amazing. It was 33 miles. And in training, I only got up to about 23 miles, I think, because that's what you do in training. So every mile I got over, it was, like, oh my gosh, I'm hitting this new mark that I hadn't really trained for. And I crossed the finish line, and they give me a mug.
Oh.
I got a mug.
Oh dear.
Now listen, I ran 33 miles. Oh dear God.
Mary meltdown.
You know what? It was really hard for me. I got that mug, and I really realized, because I'm telling you, I get that medal. I wear it. Cindy knows. I run many marathons with her. I wear it for days.
Sleep in it.
I sleep in it. I hang it next to my bed. I get a mug. I didn't know what to do. I was kind of like, I said, is this it? Where's that now? It's like, people like mugs. I'm like, not me. I want a medal. But anyway,
bring it back around.
You have to keep your end goal in mind, and that's not my total why. But when I'm training and I'm running that race, my medal is waiting for me.
And your medal is going to be transformation. That's what this program is about. That's your medal. So whatever it is that brought you here. And I remember getting so many messages from you guys saying, this has come at the most perfect time for me. I'm really needing this. I'm feeling stuck. So many messages came through, and I'm sure Susan got them too. And so your medal is going to be completing this program, finishing it, and then wrapping around your neck is going to be transformation. And that's what we desire for all of you guys.
And we want to know why.
Yep.
So share,
post
be
that.
vulnerable, because we did have a little at the end of the day today who shared and she cried.
Yeah, Marcia
Shared and cried, and it really, because she put her vulnerability out there. Rod said, you are already there. That is never going to happen to you again. So, put your whys out there. If you're struggling, share that with us. Share it in the group, because that's when you kind of get rid of it.
Yep. Awesome. Well, thank you. And thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you realize this was a special treat. And, we're bonding with him. So hopefully we'll get him on a big team call so the whole team can enjoy him someday soon.
I think we can probably make that.
All right. I'll do the same. Return the favor.
Hey, I would love that.
All right, guys. Thank you. Stay strong. Daily habits. And if you have friends that are doing this program that are falling behind, would you please reach out to them and motivate them and encourage them? We did find out they could change their date. So if you have someone that maybe didn't start, reach out to them. Susan and I will be doing the same thing once we get home from this trip, but we're not leaving anyone behind. We're just not going to do it. So love you guys.
Mwah. Love you.
Night.